Now, if anything should be clear by now, it's that I am interested in doing a normal appropriations process, unlike what happened when they had the majority, which was the Appropriations Committee will report bills out, 11 of the 12 last year. Not a single one was brought to the floor of the Senate. Well, Mr. President, the Democrat Party is the party that will not take yes for an answer. We offer Democrats a clean, nonpartisan CR, no Republican policies for them to swallow, nothing for them to object to. They said no. We offer to accommodate their health care demands by guaranteeing them a vote on their proposal if they vote to reopen the government. The answer is no. Okay, fine. So we thought if they don't want to fund the government via continuing resolution, we'll give them the chance to fund the government a different way by attempting to move forward with regular order appropriations bills. And once again, the answer was no. Democrats just voted to block the fiscal year 2026 Defense Appropriations Bill, a bill, I would add, that passed the Senate Appropriations Committee by a robust bipartisan margin. 26-3, I think it was. That's right, Mr. President. After voting last week for an authorization bill to increase troop pay, Democrats just voted against the bill that would actually pay the troops. We have to ask the question, why, Mr. President? Because, to quote a recent news story, this is a direct quote, voting to proceed with the defense bill relinquishes some of the party's leverage, end quote. Relinquishes some of the party's leverage. I mean, who really cares, right? If the troops are paid, as long as the Democrats are able to get what they want. Now, Mr. President, I offered up, and I had conversations with Democrats here on the floor, that if we could get on the Defense Appropriations Bill, the interest they have in adding other bills, I would certainly accommodate. And I suggested that that was the business model that we adopted when we passed the first three-bill package. We got on the Milcon VA Appropriations Bill, and then we worked collectively, both sides, to try and clear adding the Ag Appropriations Bill, the Ledge Branch Appropriations Bill. We tried to add the CJS Appropriations Bill, which was objected to by one member on the Democrat side. But that's how we fashioned getting these appropriation bills on the floor and getting them voted on. Now, if anything should be clear by now, it's that I am interested in doing a normal appropriations process, unlike what happened when they had the majority, which was the Appropriations Committee will report bills out, 11 of the 12 last year. Not a single one was brought to the floor of the Senate. We've done 3 bills. We're trying to go to conference on them. They're blocking that. So now we bring up the Defense Appropriations Bill, something that should get 80 votes on the floor of the Senate, that, as I said, came out of the committee 26-3, and they're blocking it. Now, there's a path forward here to do appropriations. Get on the bill. And then we'll try and add other appropriations bills as we work with both sides to clear objections and concerns that people have. The fact of the matter is, Mr. President, they didn't have to block us even moving to the bill, because there are multiple opportunities, 60-vote threshold opportunities for them to block it later on if they don't like what happens. This is politics. If anything was needed to demonstrate just how fundamentally uninterested Democrats are in supporting our troops and defending our country, just take a look at this vote. Mere months ago, Mr. President, I say mere months ago, Democrats were complaining about all the damage shutdowns do to hardworking Americans. I literally could fill the rest of this hour with Democrat quotes from the past few years about the devastating impacts of shutdowns. Now, Democrats couldn't care less. They're happy to sacrifice any American and evidently any principle to their political goals. Mr. President, Democrats like to position themselves as the party of the little guy and the defender of hardworking Americans. But as this vote makes clear, who do Democrats really care about? Democrats. Mr. President, I yield the floor. And
in a fiery address on the Senate floor, a leading Republican senator slammed Democrats for what he called a deliberate attempt to block essential government funding and troop pay. The senator accused the Democratic Party of refusing every reasonable offer to keep the government open, saying they won't take yes for an answer. According to the GOP lawmaker, Republicans proposed a clean, nonpartisan continuing resolution, free of controversial policies, but Democrats rejected it. Next, Republicans offered to meet Democratic demands on health care by guaranteeing them a floor vote if they agreed to reopen the government. Again, the answer was no. When those efforts failed, Republicans tried another approach, moving forward with regular order appropriations bills to fund federal departments the traditional way. Democrats blocked that path as well, including the fiscal year 2026 Defense Appropriations Bill, which had passed the Senate Appropriations Committee with overwhelming bipartisan support, 26-3. The senator highlighted the contradiction. Democrats had just voted to authorize troop pay raises, but then voted against the very bill that would actually fund those raises. He quoted a news report claiming Democrats feared that approving the defense bill would relinquish some of the party's leverage, implying that political strategy took priority over national defense. The Republican leader insisted he remains committed to restoring a normal appropriations process, noting that under Democratic control, not a single one of the 11 committee-approved funding bills made it to the Senate floor last year. In his closing remarks, he accused Democrats of hypocrisy, reminding the public that the same party once condemned government shutdowns for harming American families, yet now appears willing to risk one to gain political ground. The Democratic Party likes to call itself the defender of hardworking Americans, he declared, but this vote makes one thing clear: they care more about politics than people.